Who's knocking on my door?
Timothy Pitzen's life began as a burst of sunshine. His joy was infectious to all who knew him. Friends and family could only use words like joyful, outgoing, and excited about life to describe him. But within this seemingly idyllic family, tragedy brewed, for young Timothy had placed his trust in the one person who should have safeguarded his innocence, his mother. Welcome to the Crime House.
6-year-old Timmothy Pitzen of Illinois disappeared Friday. He was last seen leaving a Wisconsin Dells water park with his mother.
In Amy Pitzen, one might expect unwavering maternal love. Yet, shockingly, behind her happy smile lay the weight of severe depression. A relentless cycle of failed marriages plunged her into the depths of despair, driving her to attempt to take her own life. By the early 2000s, fate introduced her to Jim Pitzen. Obviously, based on the same last name, they fell in love and got married very early on in their relationship, and welcoming their son, Timothy, who would soon become the radiant center of Amy's world. The outside world gazed upon them and saw a picture-perfect family, but within their home, trouble brewed. Constant arguments strained Amy and Jim's once loving relationship. It deteriorated to the point where Amy contemplated her fourth divorce, a decision she could not avoid. With her history of mental illness and another divorce on the horizon, it didn't take an expert to predict Amy's potential loss of custody of her cherished son, Timothy, a 6-year-old boy, the only anchor keeping her afloat. But somewhere along the line, love morphed into a twisted form of narcissism. Then came May 11th, 2011. A morning like any other, Jim dropped Timothy off at school. His Spider-Man backpack swaying back and forth, he waved his son goodbye, oblivious to the cruel twist of fate that would soon fall on them. When Jim returned to pick Timothy up from school, a heart-wrenching lie awaited ahead. Teachers informed him that just 30 minutes after being dropped off, Timothy had been picked up by his mother, claiming a family emergency. A desperate Jim called Amy repeatedly, only to hear her voicemail every time. Amy and Timothy seemed to vanish from existence, leaving their family and Jim dumbfounded. Jim was extremely worried, but he clung to the belief that Amy was having a mental breakdown, and in her moments of despair, she tried to get away for some space, and would be back very soon. While they were consumed with anxiety, Amy and Timothy were spotted at a small water park in Illinois, seemingly a spontaneous getaway. However, their family's increased concern was mirrored by the silence from Amy's end. Over the following days, Amy took Timothy on a whirlwind tour, visiting water parks, a zoo, and a luxury resort. CCTV footage captured their every move. Amy showered Timothy with candy and toys, and from the outside perspective, it seemed like a dreamy adventure for a young boy. Their journey eventually led them to Wisconsin. Amy made a point of contacting Jim's brother to reiterate that Timothy was safe and hers, all while avoiding direct communication with their husband, Jim. This suspicious behavior left Jim's family puzzled. Amy also called her own mother, assuring her of Timothy's safety, while her son's cries for food rang in the background. But the story took an even darker turn. On May 13, 2011, around 10 a.m., Amy and Timothy check out of their Wisconsin hotel, captured together in the lobby on CCTV. It was painful to watch the young boy so trusting of his mother, with no one around suspecting anything amiss. Later that day, Amy was seen purchasing paper, pens, and an envelope, but young Timothy was notably absent from the scene. For the first time during their journey, she was alone, and the ominous tone of the situation deepened. Amy vanished for a few hours before checking into another hotel by herself. That was the last time Amy was seen alive. The morning of May 14, 2011 brought a haunting discovery. In her hotel room, Amy's life had ended tragically. Deep gashes on her wrist and neck, along with a lethal dose of antihistamines. This chilling series of events garnished global attention due to its shocking nature. People around the world watched in disbelief, wondering what happened to little Timmothy Pitzen. Days turned into weeks, then months, and eventually years, during which random sightings were reported to law enforcement, yet no breakthrough came. The case slowly faded from the public eye as news headlines moved on to other stories. As the years passed, hope dwindled, but Jim remained hopeful, the only beacon of optimism. He believed that Timothy was out there, in safe hands, alive and well. His biggest dream was to reunite with his son and finally unravel the mystery of this heart-wrenching case. While many labeled him as crazy, to others he was a father who would never give up on his son, and Jim's unwavering patience was about to pay off. In early April 2019, Jim received a call that raised hopes. A young boy claimed to be Timothy. He had emerged into a hospital. He claimed to have escaped from kidnappers who had held him hostage for over 7 years. As the news broke, Jim's excitement couldn't be contained. His efforts, his hopes were finally paying off. A DNA test was conducted to confirm the boy's identity, and the results stunned the nation. The 14-year-old was not Timothy. His name was, in fact, Ryan Ream. What's even more shocking, he wasn't 14, but 23, a convicted felon known for misrepresenting his age. In this case, he had watched a television special on Timmothy Pitzen and chose to impersonate the missing boy. The pain and disappointment he inflicted on the Pitzen family was immeasurable, only adding more salt to the wound Jim had carried already for years. Jim's life had been consumed by this case, and with a hopeful resolution in sight, now marred by another setback, he faced the harsh reality of not knowing what happened to Timothy. The case faded from the headlines, and to this day, Timothy remains missing, leaving his fate uncertain and the case wide open. The most plausible theory, although deeply sinister, suggests murder. Amy's car was later found in a secluded wooded area with significant traces of blood, Timothy's blood. It's baffling to me that Amy wasn't subjected to a more thorough investigation. Some speculate that she may have taken Timothy on a final joyride, knowing it would have been his last days, ultimately leading to his tragic demise to prevent her husband from having custody after her suicide. While this theory is very grim, it is the only one that seems to make sense, and no conclusive evidence has ever emerged from this ongoing investigation. Let me know in the comments below what you think happened to little Timothy. And don't forget to subscribe to the Crime House for more late night listens.